Hi everyone, my name is Maureen Josephine from the Flutter community, and today I'm going to show you how to set up lint rules in Flutter. I wrote this article on setting up lint rules in Flutter sometimes back that has a step-by-step procedure on what you need to do when you're setting up these rules and what you need to consider, and also some of the common errors that you might have faced in your day-to-day development and how to incorporate them into the rules. So I'm going to mimic this blog that I have to do a live demo to show you a step-by-step procedure on how to achieve this. But before then, it's important to understand why we need to set up lint rules and why they are necessary. So imagine you are you're working on a cool project, you're building this cool app in a group of 10 people, and everyone has their own preferred way of doing things. Everyone wants to use their own rule. Sometimes it can become very messy, especially when the code keeps growing. And when you want to include like a new member into the project, it can become very difficult to understand because understanding someone else's code is always very difficult, especially when there are no rules followed or a specific format. It can become very difficult. So it's important to incorporate these rules so that there is a particular structure, so that someone can see at a glance that this logic is working this way because of this set standard or set rule. So it's important to consider that in your day-to-day coding. So this step-by-step procedure assumes that you already familiar with Flutter, but if you're new to Flutter, kindly follow this link in my blog, the official Flutter documentation that shows you how to create your Flutter app from scratch, from the beginning, so that at least you have an idea of what's happening in a Flutter app before proceeding to this. So today I'm going to use one of my past presentations regarding setting up lint rules in Flutter to show you a step-by-step procedure on how to achieve that. And the agenda, it's going to be you're going to learn about what's linting and some of the common programming errors that you might have faced or that you should be on the look for. And we are also going to learn about how to implement these lint rules in your Flutter app. Then finally, we are going to do the demo. So when you consider time against velocity of developing, some people prefer writing code without having some specific rules that will hold them back to achieve their goals or sprint goals, or rather that will prevent them from finishing developing the app very fast, to catch up with the deadlines or to catch up with the requirements very fast, or to end their sprint goal very fast. This is not good because bugs might catch up with you later on, and you might start, the customers might start wondering, why is this app not working as expected? Yeah, so such kind of things. And you find that some people are saying they are too busy, they can't stop, so they keep on writing. Yeah, and they end up not achieving that quality that they need to. So having those set standard, or rather rules, that will guide you through the development process might help you, or rather prevent you from having such issues. So what's linting? So what linting does is that it will check your source code in case of any issues. So if you are a Java developer or a Python developer, it will look through your source code to see if it has any issues. So what it does, it's actually is checking the source code for programmatic as well as stylistic errors and unformatted code. So after it checks this and it finds any issues, it will prevent you from merging it, and this will prevent you from having other issues with other people, especially if you are in a group project. So there are so many errors that you might face that might prevent you from merging your work. So let's see this type of errors. These are some of the types of errors that you can face in your development. That is the syntax error, the one that comes about when you use the wrong syntax for that programming language, the runtime error that comes about during runtime, the linker error, the logical error, the semantic error. So when you look into my blog, the one I wrote about setting up lint rules in Flutter, so I gave an example of some of these common errors that you might have faced in your development. For example, if you have in your code, you're importing a certain package, but you've not used it, you'll often get this green squiggle alongside the name because you have imported it, but you have not used it. So it's a sign that either remove it or use it. And sometimes you can also get, for example, placing a variable and not using it. So you often get that green squiggle that will, when you hover alongside it, it will tell you that this variable has been placed here and it has not been used. So you can either use it or remove it. So I'm going to show you how to set lint rules in Dart because that is the programming language that we use in Flutter. So how do we really set these rules in Dart? The Dart team already have some rules that they have in place that you can use in your development, and these are some of them that they currently support, and they have organized them into the errors rules, possibly your coding errors, the style rules. This majorly focus on the style guide and the format that you need to use, and the pub related rules, majorly about the packages and stuff. So when you navigate to this page of Linter for that, you'll get an overview of some of these rules that they have already put in place. So for example, if you check the avoid print rules, so it kinds of warns you what's good and what's bad. So in this case, when they say avoid print, these rules, what it does, it tells you to avoid using print in production. So avoid making these print calls in production code. You can use them to debug, but don't. It's not advisable to use them on production. So I'm going to show you how to create these rules in a step-by-step procedure in a Flutter app. So before that, we are going to create a new Flutter app. So if you are new to Flutter, and navigate once again, go back to the official Flutter documentation to get up to speed and get started on what you need to do to get started with Flutter. So but for now, this assumes you already have that knowledge, and so we are just going to create a new Flutter app. So in the terminal, I'm going to use the Flutter create command and name this Flutter linter rules. Yeah, let's have it as Flutter linter rules. So the project is building and it has built. So what we'll do, we'll navigate into that Flutter project that we have created, the one for Flutter linter rules, then open it. So it has opened, and what we're going to do is we're going to run this new Flutter project. We can as well use the terminal, but for now, let's just do the running. So this is the generated code that comes automatically when you create your first project, your first Flutter project. So this is still building, so let's wait for it to build. Yeah, so as you can see, it has finished building, and so we now have our app, and here it is. So this is the first app that comes about when you first create your Flutter app, and it still has the default layout and everything. So you can see the theme color is still blue. The homepage title is still there, Flutter demo homepage and everything. So what we are going to do is we're going to remove this auto-generated code and place our own simple layout so that you can follow along as we set the Lint rules. So in the first line, as you can see, we are importing the material widget that is very essential in this Flutter project. Then we have the main function, which returns the run app method that calls the my app class. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete all of this auto-generated code, then do it once again. And as I mentioned earlier, if you are new to Flutter, please follow the official Flutter documentation to get a gist of what you need to do, or rather how you can get up to track with this Flutter development. So to get a basic idea of the Flutter structure and folder structure and everything. So let's delete I think we can delete this from here, then I'll explain the rest. Yeah, let's delete all of this till somewhere here, and delete also this one as well. And delete that one. So as I have said earlier, so here this is the main function of the app. So the main function returns the run app method. So what run app does is it calls this my app class, which we have here, and my app is a stateless widget. So what we mean by stateless is that its state doesn't change. So as for now, we're just going to build a simple app whose state we don't expect to change, and so we are going to have it this way. So this one is going to override the build context method, which is going to return the material app. And the material app, it has the Flutter demo title that it had previously, but definitely we're going to change this. Also the theme data that it has the default blue one. So we are going to change all of this. So we can remove this title and give it our own. So let's say Linter demo. Can say Linter demo. And the theme of this, I don't think I want blue, so let's go with green. Yeah, and what material app will do. So let's first close the theme data because it's necessary at this point. So even before we start setting the lint rules, I think you can see this kind of errors that it expected to find the bracket that's missing. So yeah, so these are some of the things that you can consider. So what we will do is, okay, let's go back and now return within the material app. Let's give its home as a scaffold where we can now place the rest of the things that we need. So, and now let's give it an app bar that will contain the title that we want it to have. So we'll give it a title like something like let's set the rules. Then after having this, I think you can still see some errors that we're getting is because when you hover around it, you'll see that it expected to find this closing bracket that we need to have here. So when you put it, the error disappears. So within our scaffold, let's make it have a body, and let's center the body and have something like a text in the center. So in the center we'll have a random text like the rules have been set. The rules have been set. Yeah, so for now I think we can restart this. We can hot reload or restart, but for now I did a hot restart. So let's see if the changes have happened here. So this is the app that we have. You can see the title as let's set the rules up there, the theme color is green, and the text have been centered. So you can see it's in a debug mode. If you zoom, that there's that debug check, but in production that debug won't appear. But if you don't like it at development stage, then you can just you can just place this check to false so that it doesn't bother you. And when you hot reload, you'll see it disappeared. Yeah, so that's it for now. And now let's go now to set the rules. So what we need to do first step is creating analysis options.yaml file. This one you create within the root of your Flutter app. So in the app that we just created, so because I'm using VS Code, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create that file, the root of my project, called analysis_options.yaml file. And because this is a YAML file, YAML is very case sensitive, so you need to be very careful. I'm going to have it down there. So here is it. This is the analysis_options.yaml file, whereby you're going to set your lint rules. So the next step after creating the analysis options.yaml file, so what you're going to do next is we are going to enable these packages. So the Google team usually had the pedantic packages that had a sets of rules that they were using at Google that should be guiding you into what rule to follow in your source code and things like that. So when you navigate to these packages in the pubdev, when you navigate to the packages pedantic page, you'll find that this package is actually deprecated. So before it was the way, as you can see there mentioned. So before it was deprecated, it was the way to get analysis options matching those used internally at Google. So this was helpful because it was a good starting point for which links to enable and whatnot. So instead of this, they've said that we can use this lints package. And as you can see, we have it there. So this is the official that lint rule package. It's more of a static analyzer that checks or rather checks your code and sees if there's any issues that it has. So what we're going to do today is we are going to install it, and they have various ways of installing it. So with that, you can run this command. With Flutter, you can run this command, and if you want to add it as a dev dependency, then you can add it here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to add it as a dev dependency. So in the code that we created, so let's navigate to it. It's here. So in the dev dependencies, let's add the package that we just copied, having in mind that this is also a YAML file. So the pubspec.yaml file here, in case you forgot, then within the dev dependencies, so let's add it there. Then after that, we'll need to have the Flutter pubget command, and because this one is going to detect it automatically, so it's going to run it. But within your terminal, you can always run the Flutter packages get command to help you synchronize the packages that you just added. So this one is it has finished. So when you see here, it has finished running, and it has no errors. Actually, if it had an error, it wouldn't have exited with code 0. So the next thing we are going to do is after setting the rules is, so let's just go back. So you can always customize those rules, because we have done the third step, adding the package. So what we are going to do is, if you want to customize these rules to your own liking, you're going to configure them within the analysis options file. So in that file is where you can configure a certain set of rules that gets customized to your own project. Maybe in the group project that you're working on, we want specific rules to be followed. So here is where you're going to customize them. So in it, I'm going to navigate to the project that we had created, and in the analysis options file.yaml, here's where we're going to add the Lint Rules. So because YAML file is always case sensitive, so you just make sure you go by 3 tabs, then add linter. Then after that, add rules. So below this tag is where we are going to add this the specific rules that we want. Cool. So I'm going to show you how to add these rules. So in the official documentation of these Lint Rules, effective Dart, there are some set of rules, as I had mentioned earlier. So that's where we're going to look through the rules that are there that we need, that we can customize in our app. So as I as mentioned earlier, these rules are categorized into 3 categories. So first of them, there's one for errors, there's another one for style, then there's the other one for pub related. So within the error rules, we can just pick any. So to use them, you can click on it and try to understand what this rule is all about. So this one is saying avoid empty else statements. So these rules, in your code, if you have an empty else statement, this rule will be flagged and that check won't pass. In case you want to build the project, and to use it, you simply copy the title the way it is. So it's just the same thing. You can just copy it from here as well, and then navigate to your project. And because we've seen that there are various categories, so there are style rules. I'm just commenting this one. Then there are error rules. Then pub related rules. So in this case, I think let me start with the error rules, which is the one that we have there first. So let's just have it there, then have the style rules down here. So the one we have just copied, so you make sure that the formatting is well in place. So what you need to do is just copy the rule the way it is here. So this one is avoid empty else. This one will be flagged amongst the error rules. So we're going to experiment this as we go by. Then we can add another one. So let's say we can pick this one. So this project is not on production, but I can just copy this one and add it within the rules as well. So here it is. You can just copy it the way it is, then do like that. Yeah, so that's how it is. So another rule that we can copy. So now let's copy one other style rule. You can just put anything, but this one, for the sake of testing and for the sake of showing you how you can do it, let's copy. After adding the camel case types, again on the website, effective that, we can pick another rule as well. So we can pick another one. So for example, we can pick this one. Lines longer than 80 characters. So this one will limit you to using a certain number of characters, especially if you work in a very big project where many people are working on it at the same time, and you want some kind of restriction. You know, some people can write code weirdly. So you can inject this rule within it. So as you can see, to use it, to understand it better, you can always read the instructions on what to do. It says avoid lines longer than 80 characters. So readability shows that the longer lines of a text are the harder to read because your eyes has to travel further. So to use it, we are going to copy it and paste it here in the style rules as well. Then to experiment it to the main.dat file and try to add lines longer than 80 characters to see if that rule is going to be flagged. But before then, we can just do a hot restart so that our changes gets reflected. Then in the code, just put something like this. And so you can see this blue squiggle. It's written that avoid lines longer than 8 characters. So this one is this rule that we just placed. So every time someone will be running this code, like huge lines of code in the same page, this rule is going to be flagged. So we can add another rule. So in the website, effective that, you can just scroll through, then check any other rule that we can add. So we can add anything. So because this project is so simple, let's go back. Yeah, so because this project that we are using is so simple, there are not so many rules that we can add. But in your team projects, you can see how you can add several rules. So let's open this rule of implementation imports. So we can also copy this, but before then, it's good to understand what this rule is all about. So it says from the package layout doc, so don't import implementation file from another package. The libraries inside the libs are publicly visible and others are free to import them. So it's more of telling you what to do when you import these packages. So we can also add this one to our list of checks in the project. You can just add it there. Yeah, so let's add one more style rule. So we can go back. Yeah, we can go back and copy one other rule. Camel case type, we've added unnecessary containers, avoid single cascade expressions. So these are some of the rules we can add. So because this project, it's not so much complex, but we can add this check to avoid setters without getters. So in a case where you want to use setters, definitely you should also need the getters. And when you see the don'ts, they have it as don't define a setter without a corresponding getter. So you can also add this within the style. So at least it's going to govern how you write your code. And after this, we can add a few more checks for the pub rules. So this one is the dependencies, or rather the packages rules. So depend on the reference packages, then the packages name, use lowercase with underscore for package name. So you can pick this one. So it says do use lowercase with underscores for package names. Something like this, the example that they just gave there. So for any package name that you're gonna use, it's good to use that format. In this project, we're not going to have it, but we can just put the flag there. Sorry, I copied everything. Just delete it. Then I'll save the project, then do a hot restart. And you can see, so when you navigate through the problems, you're going to see the kind of errors that you have. So first of the errors is about this test. It's saying that the function my app isn't defined. This is within the widget test, but right now we are not focusing on the test bit of it. So we're not going to consider this at the moment. Then another error that we're getting is avoid lines longer than 80 characters. So this is one violation that we have done against the lint rules that we've set. So when you go back to the main file, you can see that we violated this rule, and that's why it's being flagged. So to make it happy, let's just do something like that and save. Yeah, so now we are remaining with the two errors about the test that we are not covering for now. And from the effective Dart rules, so there are so many rules that you can add to your project, especially when your project keeps growing and gets bigger. So these rules, you can decide as a team on which rules you want to use and which ones not to use, and then you can customize them in your analysis options file. So this one totally depends with you. There is no specific restriction that you should use this specific rule. So it all depends on you and your team and the coding practices that you prefer. So this is just a simple way of adding lint rules to your project. And also it's necessary to add the lint rules to your project at the beginning of your project. By at the beginning of your project, I mean at the initial stages of your project before starting the development, because as the project gets bigger, it becomes difficult to fix all of these rules. So for example, the one we have right now is about the test and stuff. So it's good to fix this at early stages so that you don't get caught up in the later stages. So yeah, so you can check my article. It gives you those specific step-by-step rules, and also covering what you've just done, and link to effective Dart style guide that is going to guide you through the necessary steps that you need. So that's all for now, and thank you.